Today, I'd like to talk about how to live being scared, how to deal with your fears, with you being afraid of what's going to happen to me when I launch this business. Am I going to do it well? Am I going to be okay? What will happen to me? Will I be able to get clients? Will I be able to get money out of it? Will I be able to make a living and to sustain my life? We have so many questions we ask ourselves that sometimes paralyze us and make us feel so bad. During night, we don't sleep. We feel this. Um, you see, when we can't breathe, and we feel our body really feels it so much that we don't feel at ease. And I'd like to ask you, first of all, if you forget about your fears, what would you do? What would you achieve? Forget about them, and what would be the things you would do if you had no fears? What would you launch today? And most of the time, you get your goals in asking yourself this question, you get the ideal goals for you. Now, how to live with fears? How to live with being frightened all the time about what's going to happen to us. So, first of all, what I would recommend is to write down on a paper, black and white, your fears, one after the other, and write next to them the worst thing that can happen to you. And then next to the worst thing that can happen to you, the solution you would imagine to this fear. And most of the time, you'll actually find solutions naturally. So let's take an example. If I'm afraid of how people would react to me talking to a camera because I feel afraid of socials and I don't feel comfortable yet, and I'm afraid of what people might think of me or might say, or maybe the family is not happy with. Okay, what's the worst thing that can happen to you? You get haters. Okay, so do you think people will come and knock on your door? It's not that bad. And what solution can you do with this? So what about not thinking about what people might think of you, or just saying to yourself, who cares? At the end of the day, at least I'm doing something. So um, try to think this way, and believe me, we always scared along the way. There always are fears. And when you don't have when you have nothing at the beginning, you have so many fears because you don't know what's going to happen. But believe me, when you start getting things and getting clients, and your products work, and you start doing great business, then the second fear that happens is, will I keep all I have and all I worked hard for? You see, so at each stage you always have fears. So it's good to welcome fear, to live with it, and to just accept it, that it will come all the time, and you need to live with it. And every time it comes, just write down why you feel scared, why it's happening, what's the best solution you can find, what's the worst thing that can happen all the time. Do this work, and you'll see you find solution along the way. And if you don't find the solution by yourself, you can ask someone to help you. That's why I always urge everyone to have a coach or a mentor by your side, because sometimes they have the solutions better than you. So make sure you have the right people around, and you write down what's the things that are worry you. I remember an Asian friend of mine when I was in Bangkok telling me, Emily, do you think I succeeded at once, like overnight? No, remember, I started with a 2 meter square shop, and you don't need to start big because you can't actually. So um, at the time he was really scared because he had invested all of his money, and I won't suggest you to do that, but he invested a lot for this 2 meter square shop. But little by little he succeeded, and that's a good testimony. So a second one told me, Emily, I told him I was afraid of losing everything when I would launch my business, and he said, how can you lose when you start with nothing? When you have nothing at the beginning, you can't lose much, right? So don't be scared. Do this job, do this work I've just suggested you, and tell me how it goes. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and to join my circle of entrepreneurs if you feel you need to be guided. And I wish you all the best, and leave your comments as well.